I'm Nardo D&D, and I do all sorts of homebrew D&D stuff, like converting old D&D stuff into modern D&D for 5.5e, and for whatever you'd like to use at your own gaming tables. That last magic weapons video did amazing, and I'm really happy about that. So off the back of that, I decided to make another like magic tangential type video. So I decided to convert a bunch of old 3.5 cantrips that were not converted to the modern day 5e into modern D&D for you guys. If you like anything that you see in this video, I would really appreciate a like. And if you want to see more of what I produce here, subscription would be cool, because then you get notified for when that happens. And yeah, if it's your first time, great to have you. And here we go. First cantrip. What is it? The first cantrip that we have for you today is called Caltrops. It is a conjuration cantrip. The casting time is an action, range of 30 feet for where you're going to put it. Components are verbal and semantic, and it lasts 1 minute. And what it does is, this spell allows the caster to conjure magical caltrops in a 5x5 foot area within range. These magical caltrops act as normal caltrops would for the duration of the spell. And as the cantrip is upgraded as you gain levels, it can affect more 5x5 squares all within range. They don't necessarily have to be next to each other. The classes that have this available to them are the Artificer, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Any of the ones that can have cantrips, essentially. It's really flavorful for an Artificer, because it could just be like actual, quick disintegrating caltrops that he just shoots out of his Artificer device that he owns of some description. And if you're not sure what caltrops actually do in D&D 5e, there are like in the normal PHP, and this is what they do right here. They're really handy. Stopping movement is insane. Dealing 1 point of damage, hell yeah. Very good, very handy, very good if you're running in a thin hallway away from something, or maybe just trying to funnel things into a thin hallway. It's a pretty neat and good situational cantrip to have. Next one. This cantrip is Daze, and every time I've played 3.5, someone always has Daze, and it's quite like very prominent cantrip in that, and it's a wonder why it didn't make it to 5e. Maybe it's just way too powerful. Anyway, Daze. An enchantment cantrip. Casting time is an action, a range of 30 feet. Components are verbal and semantic. So that's going to be like quite a theme in these cantrips. Duration is instantaneous, and this spell allows the caster to discombobulate the target of it. Choose one creature you can see. They must make a Constitution saving throw. On a fail, they lose their reaction and bonus action until the end of their next turn. Classes that can do this are any of the ones that can cast a cantrip. So this is like a smaller version of the slow spell without the like speed part of it. Like, it doesn't slow their movement, but it does reduce their action economy in a manner. It can save one of your friends who doesn't have a way of like moving without provoking opportunity attacks. You can hit that guy that's threatening him with the Daze, and then your funny other bard character or something can run away in the meantime. Handy for those funny situations. A nice like utility combat but not damagey spell, which I think is pretty neat. Also, you can just do this when you're on the road to your friend's horse, and I'm sure that'll spook them, and that'll be a fun little interaction that you can just do as part of roleplay. That's just fun to do sometimes, just spooking a horse. Next one. Electric Jolt, an evocation cantrip, the casting time of 1 action, a range of 30 feet, but I could be convinced of 60 feet if you're really like edging it. Components are verbal and semantic. Duration is instantaneous. This spell allows the caster to let loose a jolt of electrical energy at a target. You make a ranged spell attack towards a creature you can see. On a hit, the target takes 1d8 lightning damage. If the target is soaked in a conductive liquid, like water, or wearing metal armor, the spell's attack to hit roll has advantage. And the cantrip upgrade just increases it normally, as you'd expect, a d8 at 5th, 11th, and 17th level by 1. Classes that can use this fun cantrip are all of them except Bard that get cantrips, because Bards aren't really like the evocation cantrip, direct damagey kind of guys, They don't get Firebolt, they don't get Acid Splash. They might get Acid Splash, I'm not sure about that one. But yeah, that's what this is. The niche that this fills is there isn't a direct damaging lightning cantrip that has a range to it. Shocking Grasp exists, sure, but that's melee. That's like to take away the reaction. This just does damage, and it's like has a bit of a range, so that's what that's about. So use that on your next funny lightning themed sorcerer that you'll have instead of Shocking Grasp as a treat. Next cantrip is Flare. Not to be confused with Daze, it's completely different and I often confuse the two. This is an evocation cantrip with a casting time of 1 action, a range of 30 feet, verbal and semantic components, and its duration is instantaneous. This cantrip creates a burst of light. If you cause the light to burst directly in front of a single creature, that creature must make a constitution saving throw. On a failed save, that creature is blinded until the end of their next turn. Classes that can use this cantrip are all of them that can have access to cantrips. So this is not quite nice. You can blind someone. Spellcasters would be very fun to use this on because every spell in the whole game that matters says target you can see, you know, like Blight or Finger of Death or Disintegrate, you know, those are all target you can see. So blind them for a turn. You can't do that until next turn. So that's pretty okay. There's, you got some support. Blinding is a fun condition to apply and you get to look up the blinding rules that I've already like put on the screen for a while now that you can see what they do. So yeah, next cantrip, Sonic Snap. It is an evocation cantrip with a casting time of an action, a range of 30 feet, and the components are just semantic, and you can guess what the semantic component would be. You snap your fingers, that's the thing. That's what you do to cast the spell. The duration is instantaneous, and what it does is, you create a brief but loud noise adjacent to the target. The target must make a wisdom saving throw. On a fail, the target takes 1d6 points of thunder damage and is deafened until the end of their next turn. This spell has no effect if cast into the area of a silence spell, because, you know, why would it? It's like a sound-based attack. It's funny. The cantrip upgrade is as expected. It increases by 1d6 at the appropriate levels, being 5th, 11th, and 17th. The classes that can cast this are every single one that can have access to a cantrip. Why did I pause for that? It's how it was in the last one. I should be able to tell. I was debating whether to not give it to the bard. This actually fits the most with the bard. If anything, I should probably take it away from everyone else and definitely give it to the bard. I like how the components aren't verbal, so you can do it while someone's holding like a hand over your mouth. If they're trying to if they think like you're the caster and they're trying to prevent you from casting spells with verbal components, and you still got your access to your little sonic snap to just wang him one, and then he's deafened, and that's funny. And that's all I got for that one. Next cantrip, Unnerving Gaze. It's an illusion cantrip. Casting time is 1 action. Components are just semantic, range of 30 feet, and duration is instantaneous. The semantic part of this component is just staring at the creature, so it's very light on the whole movement aspect of your hands and eyes, those kinds of things. And you can do it while someone's covering your mouth, which is pretty goofy. This spell allows the caster to gaze at one creature that they can see with a twisted look. The target must make a charisma saving throw. On a failure, they subtract 1d4 from any attacks, skill checks, or saving throws made until the end of their next turn. If the target is immune to fear, or the fear condition, this spell has no effect. So you give them a look, and you unnerve them. It's an unnerving look, and they don't like it. It's like a mini Bane, almost. It's good to set up if you're really trying to get some kind of spell to stick that requires a saving throw. You just hit them with one of these beforehand, just to soften them up a bit, in a combo move with the guy who's actually casting the spell. People that can cast this spell, or classes that can cast this spell, are everyone besides Artificer, because they can't really reasonably come up with a reason why Artificer would do it, because this is more of like a mental magical effect, and I can't figure a way that technology could reproduce staring at someone real hard. But if you can convince your DM to like, go convince him right now. Tell him to put this in for Artificer right now. You'll have my full backing if you bring up me as a key witness. And that's all I have for Unnerving Gaze. I think it's neat. I think staring at someone real angry is funny. All right, that's next cantrip. Disrupt Undead. It is a necromancy cantrip with a casting time of 1 action, a range of 30 feet. Components are verbal and semantic, and the duration is instantaneous. This spell allows the caster to shoot out a ray of positive spell power at one target you can see. You make a ranged spell attack at a target. On a hit, the attack deals 1d12 radiant damage. This spell has no effect on non-undead targets. So like every cantrip that does 1d12 damage, it has some kind of a funny downside. For example, Toll of the Dead, they have to be not at their maximum health, and poison spray does poison damage, so that's a huge downside there. This cantrip upgrades have their normal upgrades, where they gain an extra d12 at 5th, 11th, and 17th level, as you'd expect. Classes that know this one are all of them, because I can reasonably think that any of these classes that have access to cantrips can reasonably have a grudge against undead and focus really hard at killing just those things. So that's how that goes. In 3.5, I always thought Disrupt Undead was really cool because it always did the most damage by a significant amount for any other, compared to any of the other cantrips that were available to you. However, it only worked on undead, which is why it was that was the trade-off. I thought that was really funny, and I thought it'd be cool to bring that into 5e. I recommend taking it because when you can use it, oh boy, are you gonna have a funny time using it. You're gonna be like, oh, I use my Disrupt Undead that I have as a trait. Or you can just like walk around and just test people, like, oh, are you undead? Are you hiding? Are you pretending not to be undead? This won't hurt if you're not undead. Nothing to hide, nothing to fear, and all those things. You know, just zap common townsfolk with Disrupt Undead as a joke. It'll be funny. You won't get arrested by guards, probably not. You probably will. Alright, next cantrip. Amanuensis. It is a transmutation cantrip with a casting time of an action. Range of self and components are verbal, semantic, and material. The material component being a piece of paper. Maybe a book, I'd be like convinced if you want to use that, if I was the DM. The duration, it lasts for 10 minutes. This is what it does. This spell allows the caster to copy non-magical text from one source onto blank sheets of paper or a blank book. The spell copies at a rate of 250 words per minute for the duration of the spell. If magical text is in the target of the spell, the section is left blank in the copy. This spell triggers magical traps based on reading, such as a glyph of warding or explosive runes, if that's like something that's popular at your D&D table. I know it's very popular at mine. So this lets you like do little copies of the spell. Classes that know how to do this are Artificer, Bard, Cleric, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard, because druids can't read. You know, that's just how it goes. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. I just make them up in my head and then profit them out as canon and reality. Which I really like is the idea of how an artificer would cast this, having like a little box that like copies it down, like a little kind of gizmo gadget that like has like an auto pen kind of thing that just like copies the words. I think that'd be kind of neat and funny, little scanner kind of guy. You just going at it. What's really fun is like you do the spell on a book that you like kind of suspicious of maybe, and then boom, it explodes as you like take a few steps back. And like that'll trigger the trap or something. Or you use this on a book and the whole book's just straight up magic. And it just spends 10 minutes like scribbling, and then it's just these just blank pages you're left with. That's also pretty funny. So yeah, it's like a fun little copying of books. It doesn't copy spell scrolls and stuff because that's magic. You can't like make a copy of a spell scroll. You wouldn't be able to do that. That's too good. That's too strong. Check out the feats video I have for converting old 3rd edition feats if you want to figure out how to make spell scrolls and funny potions. That's the good one. I'll link that in the description. Anyway, next cantrip. You've heard of Firebolt. You've heard of Guiding Bolt. Well, now I give you Launch Bolt, a conjuration cantrip. It was originally a transmutation, but it's just straight up wrong. Look at this School of Magic descriptors. This is clearly moving something, so it should surely be a conjuration cantrip, not a transmutation. It's not changing the properties of something. Either way, casting time is an action. The range is 80 feet. The components are verbal, semantic, and material, which is the bolt that you will be launching. It'll all be self-explanatory in a second. Duration is instantaneous, and what this spell does is, this spell allows the caster to fling a bolt as if fired from a crossbow at a target that they can see. You make a ranged spell attack at the target. On a hit, inflict 1d10 piercing damage, like a heavy crossbow would. However, the cantrip upgrade is a little different than the average spell. It's more like Eldritch Blast. The number of bolts able to be flung increases to 2 when you reach 5th level, 3 at 11th, and 4 at 17th, and you make a separate attack roll for each bolt. Classes that can do it are all of them, because I can reasonably see any of these classes are proficient in crossbows, and I can figure that they would be able to replicate the shooting of one pretty straightforwardly, especially the Artificer. The Artificer is just fun to think of how they're gonna do this. Maybe they have a weird like arm device that just shoots the thing, and it like, as they level up, they like tinker with it more to make it shoot gooder. This is just the Artificer cantrips video, apparently now. It seems that way, right? I didn't mean for it to be this way. I was just making a bunch of funny cantrips that I saw and converting them to this thing. Anyway, I've got one more cantrip for you guys. Lastly, we have Stick, a transmutation cantrip with a casting time of 1 action, a range of touch, components are verbal and semantic, and the duration is instantaneous. This spell allows the caster to stick an item that weighs no more than 5 pounds to another object or surface so that it would take at least 10 pounds of force in order to unstick the object. Classes that are able to cast this cantrip are all of the ones that get access to cantrips, as is the theme for this whole thing, and sometimes, you know, poo-poo on druid and bard, which is fun. I think stick is funny. You can, for example, stick a potion onto someone's chest and, you know, just leave it there or something. You can stick a sign on someone's back and make it, like, you know, stay on there pretty thoroughly. That's pretty funny. You can quickly stick something to an arrow of your ranger friend, and then he shoots it and then applies some kind of effect, like a flask of oil or alchemist's fire or acid to the thing. And surely that will not, like, off balance the arrow in any meaningful way. Surely your DM won't give them some kind of penalty to shooting with something attached to the tip of an arrow. That'd be ridiculous. When has that ever happened? Well, anyway, yeah, that's the cantrip. That's the last cantrip I have for you. And that's all I have. Thank you so much. If you really liked the video, I would really appreciate a like down there. If you want to stay tuned and see more of the stuff I make, I would really appreciate a subscribe. The PDF with these cantrips on it is in the description. You can go and check that out at your leisure. Give them a nice peruse. Correct me on any funny spelling errors I made in there. Maybe that'll be pretty funny. You can check out some of my other videos. That last one about the 10 magic weapons really popped off, and I'm really excited about that. You guys really showed a lot of support in that one. I respond to every comment that you guys comment, so please feel free to comment. It's my favorite thing that you guys do. Yeah, and don't get your beard stuck in the letterbox. Bye-bye!